Got 152 yards. Should be just a nice, comfortable 9-iron for him. They're going to go nuts when he hits this thing.
That's dirt.
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome in, Golf Gambling Club members, prospectus, and longtime OGs. This is the Preferred Lines podcast. My name is Joe Idoni at Tour Picks. Of course, always a place you can find me over on X. All of my content, videos, full betting card will be out tomorrow there. Appreciate all your guys' support as always. Happy that you joined us this evening. We have a brand new course to break down. I'm coming to you. I got to talk through this with my guests. I'm coming to you off a winner. I don't really know how to feel about it even, but we're going to kind of walk those lines here in a second. Stat profiles, course notes, all that good stuff coming to you shortly from the Philadelphia Cricket Club, which will be the host of what was the Wells Fargo Championship, now the Truist Championship this week. 1 week ahead of the PGA Championship, our second major of the season. And the place that you can get all the action to get you prepped is over at Rotoballer. The promo code there is LINES, LINES. They're the proud supporter and presenting sponsor of this podcast for the last year and a half. I could not do it each and every week without them. I appreciate their support. If you want to check out all of my written stuff weekly, Spencer Aguiar, Matt Miller's been absolutely crushing Live. We've had extensive course previews, models, anything that you want related to PGA, DFS, or betting content they have over there with the good people at Rotoballer. Promo code LINES, like I mentioned, would get you 10% off any weekly, monthly, annual sub. We'd love to have you be a part of that team. And lastly, you want to support the show, there's a link in the bio. New major season shirts are out. I've got one on now. Member Golf Gambling Club. I got one here. Check out the back. I thought these came out awesome. I kind of individually did little, see if I can hold it up correctly, but I did like a little crest and individually drew in Adobe Illustrator these little logos for each of the major championships. You see the jacket, you see the Q there for Quail, the little squirrel, all that good stuff. You want to support the show, that is the 100% and always the best way to do so. And I appreciate each and every one of you who would take it upon your time to wear a Preferred Lines tee. You guys are the best. Thanks for being a part of the Gambling Club. A member and recurring guest and friend of the program. Excited to welcome him on this week. He has been in the trenches in Toronto, dealing like hand in hand against my P's last night. They got the win, but happy he was able to make some time to come on the show this evening. Of course, you know him from Mayo Media Net, the one, the only. Welcome back, Geoff Fienberg. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Joe. Hope you are doing well. It is, feels like an expensive time of golf season.
It feels expensive. I come to you this week in search of some answers, Geoff, because off an absolute runaway winner. I'm torn on whether this is even Vic lappable. Here's my thing. Plus 300 is something that I have not shy about turning my nose at. Lamented, criticized. But I don't know. And on the other part, I'm like, is it hyperbolic to say this may be my greatest win ever? I'm the only one on Golf Tips Checker to have picked Scotty Scheffler. I said he was going to run away with it. He wins by 9 going away. I felt like I took a zig route. Everyone else took a zag route. The odds weren't there. I parlayed him a bunch of different ways. I was so confident that the value police would indeed hate it. But I feel like I called my shot. It's not something that I bet every week. In fact, I haven't bet Scotty Scheffler in a year and a half. I felt like I picked a good spot for it, ended up a few bucks, ended up with a couple nice pending parlays and futures in play, including the PGA Championship. So I feel pretty good coming into this week. How should I feel betting a guy 3-1?
I mean, you won. But that's insane to say if you could make a case that's your greatest call ever, even if you were alone. I would say it's slightly above someone who didn't even bet golf last week.
slightly above someone. The accounts are
and you know what's
better.
funny? It's like I was even proud of myself for the shortest bet I made last week was 75-1, and the week ending or the week developing, I was actually proud of myself because it's like it was a very light card. I call my card like a Burger King value menu week, which for me is pretty rare for how I like to bet, but I didn't want to bet Scotty, and I sure as hell wasn't betting fucking Ben Ann or any of those guys to beat Scotty. So, Scotty wins. It's good. Good. Like,
Hard
you
course
called
to
the shot,
separate.
you win.
I think that was fair.
It's but like, I don't know. It's like saying, like hitting Scotty. It's like saying I have Derrick Henry first touchdown, and all you guys who bet like insert like Mark Andrews, like you don't know what you're doing. Like, yeah, we just all chose to like not bet Scotty, I think. But that's not to knock. You know how it is, Joe. Or like golf bettors were like snobs. Like keep your like Derrick Henry first touchdown win. Like okay, congrats, man. We're on to the next. We're on to the next week.
To hit a home run tickets away from me, but it wins the end of the day. I think I think
a win is a win. You won money, people lost money, and that's that's really all that matters. Truth be told,
it helps. I don't know if he'll go on my wall banner of winners because I don't know quite how I feel about that yet. But it did feel like my whole thing was it was a hard course to separate, but the gap between whatever the skill sets are between Scotty Scheffler and Jordan Spieth as the second best player, Ben Ann, felt insurmountable. But it was what it was. On that note, like 2.9 million people, the numbers were out, watched the Sunday at the Byron Nelson when Scotty was basically up by a touchdown, up 66%, best in 8 years. CBS says in-season to-date PGA Tour coverage is up 26%. I want to give a shout out to Tom and Marty's, who I love. I think you like him too. He had a great take, and I wanted to kind of run this by you. I don't even know if you saw it, but he says people often rip on Liv for their atrocious ratings. The truth is they never really cared about their own ratings. Their sole purpose and goal was to destroy PGA Tour ratings, and that worked for a while, but it's turning into a sort of complete disaster seeing them crush records week in and week out. Where do you stand on that take?
Like, yes, it's true. Like, if nothing else, that's what we'll do. But I also think there was a great amount of hubris in the onset that just sort of having these five guys, which turned to like 8 guys, which whatever, now 12 guys.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a hubris that just putting Phil Mickelson on TV hitting golf shots with DJ and Brooks was going to like be enough for someone to want to show your golf. Yeah. So obviously that hasn't happened. It's a very fascinating time at this moment. I see a place where I think in maybe a year I have to concede some credit to maybe Jay Monahan. But it's like at the same time, giving Jay Monahan credit here is sort of like giving credit when everyone passes on a great player and he falls to you. Like, my point being is it seemed like, I don't know if the PGA's tour plan was to like do nothing and survive and come out on top and I could even disappear with a tummy ache in the middle of this war, but we're just going to survive it and then we're going to win. Maybe that was the plan the whole time, but right now they got all the leverage. I mean, that's clear as day.
Yes.
They have every ounce of leverage. The amount of and that's a sliding scale. And it's scary to think as a golf fan, like before Liv dies, they're probably going to try to do something crazy. And by that, I mean, like, is that one more like insane fucking talent swing? And God forbid, like a Ludwig, or they're going to just like sign a bunch of young guys. Like, I don't think they're going to die without one more like huge run at it. But I don't know. Kind of all comes down to maybe the next Bryson contract.
Would you agree that their end goal was to force feed a merger or partnership, or was their initial goal to be a standalone golf tour?
It all happened so fast, I don't think they know.
Yeah.
And some of the logistics of year one, a lot of things were just sort of happening on the fly.
Yeah.
Like, let's just get it off the ground and we'll learn on the fly and we'll see where it goes. I think it's pathetic. I think I love a lot of the guys there. I think they're going to do amazing next week. I genuinely mean that. I'm going to have a betting card that's like 65% live. I mean it. I already have a Bryson bet, and I think Neiman's actually going to fuck, and I already have a Hatton bet. Right? So there, yeah. So like, I got a live trio for next week, and I bet your Reed's not. There's 15 of them. I think they're going to play great as a group. But I hate it. I think the teams are useless. I think it's just pathetic, and golf's not popular enough for it. It's just not. Golf's still a niche sport. Like at its like that's the bottom line. It's a niche sport. The bandwidth for sports fans is not large enough to care that much about golf. And when you think about it, like, we're such hardos. But like outside of the NFL, what is the league? Like, what league? Like, between the four majors and the Ryder Cup, the golf has 5 great tent-pole weeks. Yeah. What other sport outside of football has that? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, also, like the NBA All-Star Game doesn't mean anything anymore.
Sure.
Christmas Day gets diminished because of, the NFL deciding they're going to play with that. And I'm not saying that golf's bigger than the NBA. That's not my point at all. But I'm saying like golf it's pretty big, and I think the sport is doing great. And there was a great clip this week from the boys. I think it was Brandon Porath over at the Fried Egg, because Darren Rovell, Joe, tweeted that I want to find it, but pretty much for how popular like people think F1 is. Yeah. The Byron Nelson dummied it. Straight dummied it. F1 in Miami, like, good TV spot, dummied by the PGA Tour. There are people that think that the PGA Tour needs to be more like F1, like smaller, super fields, maybe even just 15 events that like resemble a bit of like a live circuit or an F1 circuit. But no, like, the Byron Nelson just pulled in these numbers, right? Like, maybe golf is just fine.
Yeah.
And we overreact to it, and some of us still live in the bubble or the final tentacles of like Tiger era aura to the sport. And I'm hard on it too, don't get me wrong. Like, you follow me on Twitter. Give me a reason to throw a knife at the tour. Give me half a reason to throw 3 knives at live. Like, my chambers are always loaded. So yeah, but I don't know. I think overall we're pretty hard, myself included, on the tour.
One of those guys, he came out this week, and I wanted to ask you about it, who doesn't think that the tour needs to shrink the fields, less events, was EVR. It's a strong weekend for EVR. Actually, I was quite impressed with him Sunday. Shot 23 under, which was enough to win this tournament the previous 2 years. Gives a surprisingly honest take post-round after qualifying for this week's signature event, when he said, basically, quote, "I hate it. The best fields are the ones with the most players in them. I understand that from a player's perspective, their opinion is going to be highly contingent upon if they're regularly in these fields or not. The guys who are love them. The guys who aren't hate them. I get that. But from a fan perspective, Geoff, like, have the signature events worked? Have they compelled your interest to a different level than you can remember 2-3 years ago for some of these tournaments?
No, they don't work for me. But I know this is like a political term. In the 20s are the Democrats usually, but it feels like an 80-20 issue, Joe, and we're the 20. And we might be like the 5. Because we're the hardos that love it all, that like sort of want the true meritocracy of golf. Now, the audience, most of which don't give a fuck what happens on Thursday. I'm sorry for the swearing. Don't care what happens on Thursday. They're not really even following on Friday. But what the elevated events allow is for like come the weekend, that leaderboard's just going to be great. And when people are casuals, friends, whatever, they put it on the final 2 hours of a round, back nine on Sunday. It's just great names. It's familiar names. And that's, that is, I guess, what is most important, not what's happening Friday at dinner time, right? It's the weekend dinner time leaderboards that matter. It's, and in a way, it's crazy how they've tried to manufacture for all it's set up so perfectly to manufacture for manufacture. Like, we're not like tennis is what I'm trying to say, with all those great tournaments, but in the end, it was still like the greatest players going head to head at the end for the finals. And even though golf can't do that, right? It can't set itself up like that. It's just such a different sport. For how well Scotty and Rory have played, and obviously these elevated events try to manufacture them being in late Sunday rounds together in these elevateds, it hasn't happened. So that's just, shows you golf in a nutshell. Like, think about how great both of them have played the last 2 years, year and a half. And I think we haven't gotten their showdown yet. Is truly incredible. Maybe we get it next week. But these elevated events off the live conversation, you can't forget, Joe, they're a byproduct of live. Right? It was a way to appease these high-end players to say, no, give you like more money, right? More kicks at it. And I could talk about it all day. And the prices of purses have just not matched up what they're worth. Like, that's just the fact of the matter. Yeah. John Rahm, for I don't really care to debate the seasons, the top tens and all that stuff. And for how great we all think he is, right, when he's great, we all know he's not worth that money. Like, he's not worth like high-end soccer player money, like EVR said. That's just a fact.
It is.
And John Rahm got that money, and good for him. But in doing so, he kind of proved like how useless golfers are, other than like three of them, right? Like and for I don't remember the agent, but an agent made a comment like, look at how much the purses have gone up. And then compare that to like, look how much like sponsoring a golfer has like flatlined or diminished.
Yeah.
Those two things don't go hand in hand. They should be matching each other.
Correct.
Like the purses, there should be like a fever to sponsor these guys. Even a Corey fucking Connors, who he doesn't win, but he's getting you 2 hours of TV time on Sunday based on how much he contends in primetime CBC slot just to have your logo. Like, you don't even need the winners for these guys to have value. You just want guys that like mix a lot, and they make their value. And to think that like the YouTubers can sell more product than anyone but three golfers on earth, like, Patrick Cantley couldn't sell a piece of equipment for his life. Like, I don't care. Right? He's what, like the 8th best? I don't know. Maybe he's a bad example. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, they don't push product anymore. They're not worth anything.
He's not even pushing
that's
golf
a stretch.
product.
That's a stretch. They're obviously worth something, but they're not worth what they think they're worth. And congrats to John Rahm. I don't know that there'll be another one like that, other than if you're Bryson or Rory. It's Scotty.
The weird thing is a lot of these, like, the golf companies have kind of given in on a lot of these. Like, they aren't even like Cantlay, for instance. He's sponsoring like power tools and like homeowners insurance companies.
Yeah.
I guess they're getting a little bit of exposure there, but it just shows the kind of diminishing value of these guys. Speaking of Rahm, okay, before we get to Philly Cricket Club, I have a question for you. Clear big three right now, I think, in golf: Rory, Scotty, Bryson. Who's your number 4? Because I would entertain arguments for maybe 5, maybe 6 guys here. Who would be yours, Geoff? Number 4. Is it Rahm?
Well, if it's like I'm buying stock, then it's Ludwig.
Okay.
Right? But it's not like this isn't really that game. It's like, who's number 4 today?
Who's the 4th best player
today? Yes. At this moment in time, I'd probably, crazy enough, I'd probably still have to say Xander. If the guy won 2 major championships, for how he's played off of the injury, returning from injury at Bay Hill is literally like insane. But that's where the schedule left him. Guys don't return to play at Bay Hill, make the cut. So yeah, of everyone, like to win tomorrow, I'd say it still has to be Xander. Last year was just we're not even a calendar year off 2 majors, so that's got to be worth everything.
You got me?
Yeah. Did you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You cut for a second. You were to win.
I said
tomorrow.
Xander. It's just 2 years. Like we're not even a foot. Like we haven't even been to this year's PGA Championship. We're still less than a year off 2 majors. He's the 4th.
Right. It's fair. I think if you're zooming out for the past year, it's Xander. I think if you zoom in the past month, I think you could talk me into like Justin Thomas. 2 months, you could talk me into Ludwig. Maybe Morikawa flirts. Maybe Rahm is in there if you're just going on sheer talent level.
So if that's 4 guys, talk.
Sorry. Delta is.
So yeah, you're right. You said it could be any of 4 guys, which is fun. And truth be told, I trust all those 4 guys. If I had a bet on any of those 4 guys at the PGA Championship and they were in a head-to-head situation with any of those big 3, I mean, obviously Scotty probably scares me the most because he seems like the most like the finisher. Like for all Rory's greatness, he still doesn't. If I have a bet at the Truist that's head-to-head with Rory, I'm an underdog, but Rory isn't some like incredible finisher.
Yeah.
That I am like.
You trust the least though? Would it be Colin? Like compared head to head with Rory?
I'm in a Colin like hate phase, but that doesn't mean he can't win, and that doesn't mean I don't think he can win.
Yes, I agree.
But I am just of the opinion that what he did at Bay Hill and then how he dug is going to have. It was going to linger. That was my projection at the time. This is going to linger because when he showed up the next day with tears in his eyes, he's like sensitive, and it got to him. And that showed me this is probably going to linger a bit. That being said, Grenier on the bag, maybe that's like a spark because he seems everyone. I'm not like a caddy hardo, but anyone that is acknowledges this guy's like one of the best of the best. It was probably a mistake for Max. He should have done what Jordan Spieth did and just like find a way through a dark patch because this guy is the guy who's on my bag. But we're not there.
Max called it off. I think Griner called it off.
Oh, yeah, that's Griner's like, I'm too good for this. Yeah.
I think what he said was basically, this is my best friend. I feel like we're in a spot where this is hurting our friendship. I want to remain friends forever. But according to Max, it wasn't his decision to end it.
Oh, listen, and if you're Max, you like, let's pretend this is like a guy-girl thing. You're like, damn, he just knew he could score prettier girls at the club than me, and I'm out. Like, I'm out. Like, and imagine like Colin could obviously win this week. No one should be surprised at that. But it'd be funny. The story would probably be Buddy on the bag for back-to-back wins with 2 different guys.
I know, with 2 friends.
And obviously Joe loves. I mean, JT loves his guy, but like if JT continues to maybe not win or miss and sees Colin maybe pull a couple, he might spend the offseason thinking, did I just let the wrong guy go out of my team?
Yeah. I don't even know JT's guy.
Messner. It's not. I know there's a golfer, Mac Messner, but it's very familiar.
Right, that sounds right. All right, this week, Wissahickon Course at Philly Cricket Club is now the host of the Truist Championship, formerly the Wells Fargo. I think that I want to ask you this first because I think you're sort of uniquely qualified to answer this as someone who's had a home high-end country club host a PGA Tour event. I think there's 2 schools of thought here, and I'm not sure which one is correct. I think one is when it comes to the course setup this week, who's ever in charge at Philly Cricket Club, you kind of have no idea how good these guys are, and maybe you're a little cautious with your setup. You kind of go Caves Valley or Congaree or the countless others that tend to set it up. We think it's going to play hard. It's super easy. They play it safe. They take the easy route. They don't want to piss off professional players. Number 2 school of thought, they want to set it up as hard as possible to protect membership pride. The members want it to play hard, and maybe they feel that this is some sort of litmus test for bigger and better events. You only host the Truist, in my opinion. You only open the gates to this place if you think that there's a desire to one day host a big one, in which case they set it up really hard. Which one would you sort of subscribe to on those two schools, just because you kind of went through it at your spot?
Number 2. That being said, my spot, sort of a perfect storm of scenario. Like, location was perfect for Golf Canada.
Yeah.
But I think as a membership as a whole, like, we didn't think there was anything we could do. Like, truth be told. I mean, it's a nice place. It's lovely because you can get there from like 20 minutes from anywhere in the city, and that's its, allure. But, this is a club for like, pardon my English, old Jewish men. So it's like, the PGA Tour is coming here? Like, we thought clearing 20 for sure. And Golf Canada came in, and there was some wind early, which was sort of out of character. And it's the week before the U.S. Open, so this is a week before the major, and there is like a desire to, make the rough like thick, as if you can't get to U.S. Open rough, but you want to, like you miss around the green, you want guys to like sort of have to, they're playing from something nasty, and that's what happens. I don't know. It seems like this is like a classic Philly guy. Philly's a very, I don't know what it is. Like, they're intense, and it seems like it's outwardly being known that they don't want their course embarrassed, but the conditions could be soft. But it's the week before a major. I would hope the PGA is going to make it hard as they can. But as we know, Joe, they've gotten a lot of rain, and that hard, tough pin position that should scare them doesn't scare them if it's softer. They'll go right at it.
Yep. Getting more like kind of into the course, Wissahickon Course, 1922, Tillinghast design, went through a restoration in 2013. Some other Tillinghast designs kind of in this region I have down here are Bethpage, which we'll see the Ryder Cup at, Winged Foot, Baltusrol. This dude, Tillinghast, did some damage with a mower in the Northeast. He's got some prominent golf courses. 35-35 in terms of par to equal 70 total, just over 7,100 yards. They have switched around some of the orientation to better suit PGA Tour setups. Superintendent, 22 years experience. This will be his first time ever hosting a PGA Tour event at his course. All reports, you mentioned it, from the ground are this is already a wet golf course with the possibility of more rain throughout the week that has kind of softened the firmness of this place. And we're probably going to end up getting preferred lies again, which puts ball in hand, which allows these guys the ability to have maximum control over spin and lie and all that kind of stuff, to which you brought up the point they just simply attack pins. I think distance, in terms of takes on stat profiles, I think distance always helps on a wet course. Looking at some of the overheads, it seems like there are some bunkers that if you are able to carry them off the tee, it puts you at a nice little advantage spot there. My boy Matt Gannon has been boots on ground all week. Shout out Matt. He sent me some texts. We've been communicating. He's following players and just said the majority of them are just ripping driver everywhere and swinging hard. They're swinging out of their shoes. Nobody's really laying up. They're all hitting drivers, at least in the practice rounds. Greens, tiny but attackable because of the conditions. Pretty receptive there. Smallish in size, pure bent grass. I think the course, looking at the scorecard, kind of flows in little 3-hole segments. Very soft opening, moderately challenging through the middle. There's a spot from 13 to 15, which looks pretty easy, like almost nearly drivable par 4, 120-yard par 3, followed by a very scoreable par 5. But the closing stretch is going to be the most difficult stretch in the course. Long par 3, 2 par 4s that are almost 500 yards or above to kind of finish the day there. Anything that you've heard this week, Geoff, and talking to Pat, I know the show's already out, or anyone that you've spoken to in relation to kind of course notes or setup and what your expectation is for the Philly Cricket Club?
Full disclosure, I don't like these weeks as a golf bettor, just not knowing past scores, which, can help you lead to which sort of players you think, a past winners log, which helps you determine the player profile. Maybe it is a mixed bag of different types of players, or maybe it is just that one lane. So you just think, as we're the week in, week out grinders, we go to somewhere new. It's like, and, truth be told, to add to the confusion, there's just a lot of people I respect in the space, and I've heard them give 2 completely different opinions on how the place will play. So it doesn't seem like anyone really knows, and I think that's pretty valuable with the Boots boys over at Vincerix.
Yeah, I think I guess where my opinion would be is I think it's a lot of drivers, which puts a lot of short irons in, even from the rough. I ran a model banner link below Tour Picks, 25% off any sub over at BetSperts. Here's my model. This is I called it the Philly Delicate Essen. Just guys who are really good with their wedges and short irons. You see their approach play long term, short term. This is on short golf courses. If you're here with us on YouTube, 100 to 150 yard ranges, last 36, last 16 rounds, and then 50 to 100. As of no surprise, as if no one didn't already know who the best wedge players are on the PGA Tour, this specific model spit out Colin Morikawa, Sepp Straka, Justin Thomas, Russell Henley, Shane Lowry, Spawn, Hoagie, Glover, Cole, Cantlay. Those are your wedge guys, if that's what you're kind of leaning on. One of the things about BetSperts I got to mention is the amount of models. If you're not someone who likes to build them, and particularly on weeks like this when you may not know exactly what to look like, you mentioned differing of opinions there. Nine different stat models available now that you get with that sub. Andy, PGA Tout, Vincenzi, Steve Shermer, Ron Close, everyone's up there. Everyone's got models. You can take a look at all of them. You can piggyback on the one that you like. One of the things that I like over there. Without any further ado, I want to get into the odds board this week. Let's look at the top of the board here, Geoff. Of course, no Scotty Scheffler this week off a win. We've got Rory McIlroy 5-1 as the favorite, prohibitive favorite. Morikawa 14-1. I think I saw that number bump right before we went live here as well. Schauffele 16, Thomas and Oberg at 18-1, Pat Cantlay at 20-1. Those are your top 6 on the odds board this week. Have you made a bet here in the top of the board?
I mean, elevated events, I don't play down the board. I make just really small cards. And I've bet Patrick Cantlay, which wasn't easy to do. But I feel good about it. But I felt gross about it. I felt gross doing it, but obviously I felt strongly enough about it that I wanted to do it. The approach play, got to trust that he'll fix that putting, or that putting gets fixed. Yeah. It's one thing to want a bad putter or bet a bad putter who you're hoping putts well. It's another thing to a historically really high-end putter who's just struggling. I do have confidence that can swipe. And truth be told, I think I'm going to match that up with just one other bet. And that probably just becomes Ludwig or Xander. And I think I'm just betting 2 guys, and then I'm out.
Any interest in Justin? I haven't made a play yet. Statistically, everything that I look at is kind of screaming Justin Thomas. It's either him 1A or 1B. With Colin Morikawa, 1A, 1B, the best approach players in the world right now, hands down. He's got touch, but from an exception standpoint, I mean, getting that win at the Heritage in his last start was monumental and important. My only hesitation, and this isn't a great take or anything, but after 3 years or whatever it had been, do we expect him to just go back-to-back Siggies? I think that's tough to ask. I think statistically, almost if he had finished third in that event, the price would probably be the same, and for some reason I'd be more drawn to it. Ludwig's the guy for me, though, that I think is a must play. Driver, I think, is just such a weapon here. Now, look, I know that the iron play has been shaky of late, but when you look specifically at the ranges, he's really struggled with his long irons. I think that he's going to be able to hit driver everywhere here. I think from 125 yards, I trust him. That hasn't been as sharp as it always is, but 2 weeks off, hopefully put a little bit of work in there. The bent grass greens are a huge plus for Ludwig. The splits there are dynamic. Fast greens, huge plus for Ludwig. Undulated greens, the best places he's putted in his career are the hardest places to putt. It's Augusta National. It's the Arnold Palmer Invitational. It's Olympia Fields last year. It's Pinehurst at the U.S. Open. The places where people struggle the most putting, Ludwig putts the best at. The tougher they are, the better he is. Is this price at all discounted on Ludwig, based on the last month of play for him, or do you think this is right where it was always going to be?
Yeah, I think it's.
Do you think he should be above Schauffele in Thomas?
Yeah, I think it's a fair place.
Okay, I think it's fair too.
Yeah, I think this is the right place for him. I mean, Xander, JT's off his win. Ludwig's not playing great, but
Xander fully back for you, or are you kind of just trying to call your shot on the early side of things with him?
It's just an inherent trust. Like he's just lasting deep into my process. Yep. I mean, like Ludwig is a favorite of mine as well. I'm just deciding which one I want to trust this week more. I'd argue they're both. I mean, Xander's given us, I feel like, as much warning as we're gonna get. Right?
Makes sense.
Like, I don't know, it's gonna be like, oh, he finished third. Now he's like, we can bet him to win. Like, no, he's probably just gonna win.
Second half
so that's where I am. But I love that. I've been thinking about that Ludwig putting. All of it. Yeah, like how he's putted at the Masters is just insane. And obviously, this is his jam here. And with Xander, my concern is a lot of like the touch and feel stuff, and that's like I trust the driver's going to be back, but the touch and feel, just with the lack of reps, that's just always a bit of a concern. And if you've watched him, he just doesn't sort of seem like nearly close to or I don't want to say nearly close to. He just doesn't seem like the same player around the greens and with the wedges. So that'd be my concern with him. But yeah, it's Cantley's in, and it's going to be one other bet right from this range.
Yeah, I think correct takes there on Xander. The putting and the around the green stuff has not been up to snuff for him. The driving has been a little loose. I think he gets away with that here more than a lot of other places. It's forgiving off the tee, and he still has his speed. So he still has the distance. He still can carry it. He can still. That's not the issue right now. I think it's more of the around the green stuff that's kind of holding him in this second sort of portion of the odds board here. Vic's there at 28-1, Fleetwood 28, Spieth, Henley, Connors, Hideki, Shane Lowry is 35, Straka 40, Berger 40, McNeely 45, Sungjae Im 45. I'm in on Vic. I trust his irons pretty immensely at this point. Fourth in approach long term, third in short term. I think that is the most important skill set in terms of how I'm attacking this week. Gained on approach in 7 straight, 3 in a row. Good, like he missed 3 cuts in a row. Things had gotten as bleak as they could. He knocks off that win. He followed it up with a good performance at the Heritage, decent at the Masters as well. I think this is a good spot for his skill set, and I think you're getting a little discount. He was 33-1 earlier today when I bet it. I think their 30s are still out there. Probably pop a 33 tomorrow as well. Was over there on Bet Online, but that's my play from the middle here. I haven't really gone back because I'm not quite sure if I'm going Ludwig or what I'm doing at the top. But the first bet I made this week was Viktor Hovland.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Thought about betting Viktor. I mean, maybe there's a way that I still do. I love Viktor for next week also. I mean, I think Quail Hollow is perfect for Viktor Hovland. And I can tell you, like, right now, I could probably see myself betting Viktor next week. Bryson, Neiman, Hatton, Viktor. Yeah, something that could easily be what I wind up with.
If I'm looking at these names here and I'm trying to like find a little bit of like value drift based on where I would rank these players, I guess over the last 6 months, my eyes are drawn to Hideki in that regard, just being, below Connors, Henley, Spieth. I like Tommy, but I just, to me, Hideki's the better player than all of them. He doesn't quite check the box of current form. But when you look at this list of names over the past year, if you could pick the guy that's played the best and I think holds the most win equity, I think to me it's Hideki. I'm not sure I'm going to get there just because he doesn't check a lot of the stat boxes that I'm looking for. But purely on a value thing, that would probably be my play in this range based on number to talent level. Do you see anything else there?
No, but a couple things. There's not much on this odds board that interests that interests me. Like if distance
Yeah.
isn't a big issue, then like sure Berger. But it's one thing for like Berger to keep playing well. Like the floor is obviously high. Like winning seems like a whole other question. Shane Lowry, Corey Connors, Henley. Like sure, all great. I'm not betting them. And then once we're above 50, like I know I'm not betting any of them. As it pertains to Hideki, I do really like him. He's shown he can win from the clouds, and that Masters was a lot of bad, but also like a lot of incredible. The bad on the green that continues, but he did seemingly get that squared away in the final round, but who knows if that's enough to be confident in it. Something I like to do in major weeks where we do have these elevated events, Joe, because normally we say this time of year or this part of the process is a horrible time to bet for next week, but that's when like the week before the majors, like the Valero, and these guys aren't playing. These guys are playing, and I think that creates a lot of volatility because outside of like 5 guys on live, anyone who you think can win in Scotty is here this week, and if they play well, it will probably have an impact on their number. So with that, I ask myself the question, who am I probably not betting this week, have not bet next week, but I'm going to be watching like a hawk. Watching like a hawk. Mm-hmm. It's Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah. Especially in this range, right?
Because he could, Quail could be his bag.
Yeah.
Right? And there's still like 40s, 50s for next week, sort of around there, which seems like an incredibly fair number. So if you see the things you want to see from Decky this week, like that's something I could be getting in on the weekend. Yeah. So if he pops this week, it wouldn't shock me because, like I said, he's won off like runs of horrible form before. Like he can just do that. Yeah. So there. A couple people we all respect are betting him this week. So I got nothing bad to say about making the play this week either.
Cool. Next range, my boy Chris. Of course, he's always on Tommy Fleetwood. I got another one for you, Chris. I bet Keegan Bradley. This is the biggest bet that I have at 50-1 this week. I'm not going to say on the value of it, but I just think that I was really surprised by the approach play numbers when I looked sort of at that BetSperts numbers at how well he's been hitting it with his wedges. 11th long term in that 100 to 150 yard range. Number 1 in the field over the last 16 rounds in approach play from 100 to 150 yards. Really sharp when he can get a wedge in his hand at the moment. Obviously has a good little track record. Moving through the Northeast, he's won some big events here. If you're putting much stock into how these type of parklands, Northeastern golf courses play, familiarity there, has played well, even going back to the Country Club a few years ago in Boston to his wins at, the Northern Trust or whatever he got. And he's checked off a few boxes in this region of the country. Of all the guys that I can see potentially coming from this range to maybe bag an outright, he was the one that I felt most likely to. I wanted to like Denny this week. I haven't heard great things on the grounds from him. He's just such a good putter, and his wedge play has been much improved. But Bradley's the guy for me in this sort of third tier here. Sounds like you're more so focused on the guys at the top. Is there anyone here that you maybe like for a DFS or a top 20 player you think has some sort of upside based on this course in a signature event?
So that's like not really. I don't get DFS anymore. Yeah. It's banned where I am, which sucks because I probably could have opinions. But if Finau is, he might be one of the more unserious golfers on tour. But if you think there's like a semblance of seriousness in him, I think this could be a place that works for him. Steven Yeager, Thor Bjornsson would be other guys that I would probably be looking to like roster, or I feel like there's money to be made on. I got nothing bad to say about the Keegan Bradley pick. Yeah. It's like he checks a lot of boxes.
I thought about Wyndham Clark here too. I've seen his number everywhere. I've seen it down from 40-1. This was based off the odds checker grid that I pulled. The best price was 65.
The odds checker grid was a little hanky this week. I'm not, I say that as a friend of their program over there. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wasn't cooperating. Hopefully the Kinks are out for major week.
No, they changed something up in the formatting.
Yeah.
I have it up. Let me see if I can pull it up just so I can look at a couple of guys a little further down the board. So you have to do like this compare all odds to see. This is the one that I like to see the best because you can see the differences in pricing. Like here, essentially DraftKings to FanDuel 55-1 to 80-1 on Ben Ann. Taylor Pendrith, I talked to Baroff early in the week. He was a big fan of Taylor Pendrith at this golf course.
If it's going to be that bomber, like if it's the bomber way,
yeah,
absolutely. I mentioned Jaeger, but put Pendrith right there. I've seen him up to 100-1. Makes total sense.
What's going on with Sahith right now? He seems
Not a clue.
totally out of whack, out of sorts.
Not a clue. He's in a battle with Tom Kim for like most disappointing real golfer of the year, right?
Yeah. Tom Kim. Maybe some people I know were high on Zalatoris early in the season, but yeah, it feels like he got maybe
still a little
caddy
grace.
change for him.
Still giving a little grace to Willie.
What about the guy? Maybe I think Morikawa's caddy was like one of the more coveted ones. JJ Jacob. Maybe he. Where do you think he finds a bag? Who's likely to pick up that bag? Like someone like Sahith, the West Coast guy, maybe work.
I'm not sure. I'm not in like deep enough as to the relationships. I don't know who I'm wanting to change a caddy.
Look ahead, PGA Championship. What picks do you have in? You got futures in, it sounds like a couple of pending.
Yeah, I got live bets. I got Bryson at 18, I got Hatton at like 55 and 60. And I will bet Neiman next week at like 40-1.
Yeah.
I think it could drift. I'm not in a rush to bet 40 because like there'll still be a 38 or 35 for me next week. I think there's a chance just with like a strong PGA field this week. A lot of players, obviously name value, are going to play well. He didn't mix last live. Like I don't know. I'm hoping it can drift, but I am confident Neiman is going to end the nonsense with his major stuff, and I want to back him. And from a PGA Tour perspective, guys I'm looking at, we mentioned Victor, those long irons, Quail Hollow,
40-1 a good enough price for you on Neiman?
What?
Will 40-1 be a good enough price for you on Neiman? Yeah.
Yeah, next week, yeah, at Quail Hollow.
Yeah.
Listen, Joe, I don't know how many years we're into this. We could be on year 3. Like 40-1 or above, I said, like, I will sign a 10-year contract on PGA Championships that I have a bet on Joaquin Neiman.
Why just PGA Championships?
I just think the setup, like, just straight as an arrow, like a piss missile straight off the tee, a piss missile straight into the green. He'll piss me off like Victor does at times, but then there'll be that hole that's playing a half stroke over par, and he's going to birdie it.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, Mayo sideswiped me, saying like he's the Justin Herbert of golf.
I saw it. Yep.
I think Justin Herbert, like, Chargers have lost 2 playoff games as underdogs, despite like things going bad in those games. Like, if Justin Herbert's like 0-4 in the playoffs, then I think it's fair. The Neiman track record of like 16, 18 majors. I'm not saying one major is worth 1 playoff game. I'm saying like it's such an established track record.
Yeah. Like
there's so many majors on his CV at this point. But he's still so young. I don't know. He's getting a soft, and I'm a fan, so soft landing from me.
Yeah.
But I think Quail Hollow sets up perfectly for how
he's been the best player on LIV. Not in majors, but just in those events. 5 wins is hard to deny. He's had a couple of seconds too. I mean, he's been in those weeks, whatever you want to say, 54 holes, hit and giggle courses. He has been equally as productive as Bryson or Rahm.
I don't know how to quantify like 6th place on LIV. I don't. Yeah. I don't even know how to
quantify first. He's got 5 first.
But that's what I mean. I don't know how to quantify 4th place on LIV.
Yeah.
But I know enough to know who, like the 14, 18 guys, 12 I respect, that winning is still, it might not be, debate what it's worth. It's worth something. I can quantify that it's important. And maybe much like Herbert, man, you just watch Neiman golf, and it's like 5 check marks on the eye test.
Yeah.
Like every time. So, yeah. But maybe the majors thing is a real thing. But I think Quail Hollow is just a perfect fit. And truly, outside of like 6 PGA Tour golfers, not Phil Mickelson here, but like I'd rather bet Neiman. I would.
Yep. My boy Tommy Lips says Neiman is beyond a world class. Tommy would know, man. This is the major whisperer himself. Geoff.
Good. Hopefully Tommy's in on it next week. And listen, winning is huge. Crossing the line first, that's an insane ask for any of them outside of like 2 or 3 guys. I do believe there's money to be made in Neiman next week.
Yeah.
And if people think like he's a major scab and they're just going to like pick on him, buddy, message me for a head-to-head. We'll find a golfer. We'll pick a number.
Who's he there with? He's in the range with like Fleetwood, Cantlay, Spieth.
Yeah, give me
Koepka. Koepka's drifting. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for me.
There's gonna be another drift. Brooks is gonna get another drift. Like don't get me wrong. There's guys whose odds will go up.
Yeah.
But there's guys who will play well this week and their odds are gonna drop. It's undeniable.
Yeah. Yeah. Geoff, always a pleasure spending some time with you in the evening time talking golf. Thank you for always supporting the show. Thank you for always coming on when I ask you and moving around your schedule to make it work. I appreciate it. The show with Pat is obviously out now each and every week. You know, we're gearing up for a great summer, man. The next 4 or 5 weeks here are like where the tour really hits, man. Every week feels like a banger for the next month here. So I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you joining the show. We'll talk soon, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we got spoiled at the Masters, but like, come on. Like, I'm okay to lose bets. Like, give me the goods again. You know what I mean? Like, give us like a dragon duel.
We'll take Scotty Rory. None of us are the winner. We'll take it.
Just thinking about it, like the hair just stood up on my arm. Joe, I love you. Hit me up anytime. Go Cavs. Go Leafs.
All right, buddy. Later. All right, gang. The one, the only Geoff Fienberg. Always a pleasure to have him on the show. Thank you so much to everyone who has checked this out. I'm going to give a couple of thoughts here to end the show that I think is important, and I want to keep the people who have always followed this show kind of in the loop. Excuse me, I have a couple of notes here on my phone. I just want to make sure I get all this out there. Starting next week for the PGA Championship, Preferred Lines, as you know, it is going to undergo a little change. It's my opinion that this will be for the betterment of the show. I think that I want to take a moment to give credit and appreciation to Chad Eckert, who started the show, who was a founder, who worked on this with me since day one, and it was a dream for both of us, and had to step away because he had his 3rd kid, was hosting 2 shows, and had a booming realty business. Chad is the man, but had to step away about 1.5 years ago, and it was my mission, my sole mission at the time, to solve this problem in a sense that how to take this from here and bring it to here, and how to make this show big and sort of capitalize on it and turn this into an endeavor where it's not just a hobby. I never wanted to treat this as a hobby. That's why people rip on me. I do cheesy things. I set up a website. I try to put t-shirts out there. I try to do all this stuff to promote the show because I truly and genuinely believe in it. I'm treating it like a business. This is more than just a hobby to me, and I hope that you all can kind of appreciate that. I am by no means stepping away from the show, but I've had to go through some things in with my family, particularly with my wife, who's had some things going on with her health. Without getting into too much detail, the sun shined on a little bit of perspective for me. And I realized that this problem I was trying to solve in building the show and taking it to another level was not really a problem that I was equipped to do on my own. And I need to enlist the help and support of others to achieve this. And I've heard this before, and it's kind of cliche, but people will say you have a million problems in the world until there's a real life health problem, and then you have one problem. And luckily we were very fortunate, got some good news. Thank you all who I've talked to about it and have supported me. I appreciate that. But it's been challenging, and it's important like this in moments where you realize how lucky you are to live the life that you live, and you were able to get through that. And on the back end of it, you will be stronger for it. So I've enlisted help with this show. It's not going to be just me any longer. I'm trying to attempt to bring on a permanent co-host with me. I think this helps me in a number of ways. I think it's going to make the show better. I think it's going to give us sort of longer lasting, like you watch someone like Geoff and Pat go back and forth, and they have these bits that aren't just one episode long. They're able to carry on in storylines, and they're able to sort of curate this engagement with their audience, which is kind of what I'm seeking. It's also a scheduling nightmare to try to bring a new person on every single week and work around their schedules and try to get on their same interview cadence and be on camera while this thing all runs live. And I try to do it as seamlessly as possible while playing the producer role, host role, all this stuff. You guys get it. I'm excited about this. I hope that this isn't a negative thing at all. I'm super fired up about the person that I'm bringing on to join me to host this show. I'm not going to reveal it right now, but it is coming out later this week. We'll have a couple of teasers out there. I would love to hear if you guys have any guesses, but I think you're going to be thrilled about it. I think it's going to be a person that allows me to take Preferred Lines to the next step on this journey. And I can't just keep it all on my shoulders anymore. You guys have been incredible for supporting this show. Those of you who have subscribed to the YouTube channel, those of you who have gone to the shirt shop, those of you who have reached out over the years and just given me words of encouragement, I genuinely appreciate that, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you again for checking out the show this week. I just wanted to give sort of a brief rundown for those of you who check out the show every week, so it didn't catch you off guard next week. We're starting with a major. We're starting with the PGA Championship. The next month is going to be insane. It's going to be sick. The PGA Tour is on fire. We get all the boys back together for Quail Hollow next week. Super fired up about it. Tommy, if you're there, give me some insight. Don't be afraid to send your boy a text. Kristen Alpha, he'll probably be there too. You guys are awesome. Like, subscribe on the way out. Appreciate you for checking out this episode of Preferred Lines. We will catch you next week. Big week ahead for the show. Thanks again. Peace.